Hello, I'm Tiffany Rodius from the Guyana Revenue Authority. This week's focus: how much revenue was collected in the first half of 2021, why the excise tax on fuel has been further reduced, and what you need to know about filing an amended VAT return. These stories and more. This is Focus on GRA.
School is out and it's time to start buying those school supplies for your children. Here's how GRA can help. Textbooks, coloring books, craft books, dictionaries, pencils, erasers, crayons, lunch kits, scientific calculators, geometry sets, and many more essential school supplies are zero rated for VAT. School uniform garments for shirts, pants, skirts, kimonos, and dresses are also zero rated for VAT. So what are you waiting for? Get to shopping. GRA, your partner in development.
We want the best facilities that this country could ever see, the best infrastructure and public utility, the best education for children in this country, the best health services and public security. But if we want to see such development in every community, then we must be fair and pay we full share of taxes and duty. Want proper bridges and boca, pay your tax. Better roads and safer, pay your tax. Better electric power, pay your tax. Clear potable water, pay your tax. Better schools and teacher, pay your tax. Better nurses and doctor, pay your tax. Better police and soldier, pay your tax. For a better Guyana, pay your tax.
Meet Cindy.
Meet Shivani.
Cindy is using the old tax software to assist taxpayers,
While Shivani is using the new Optimal software, where everything is stored electronically and is easily accessible.
Optimal Revenue Management System. Let's get ready for 2021.
The GRA collected $129 billion in tax revenue by June 2021, surpassing the target for the period. Here's a breakdown of tax revenues collected by the middle of 2021. The 2021 tax revenue collection was projected to grow by $23.8 billion, with an anticipated 8.4% increase in income tax revenue. By the middle of 2021, internal revenue collection totaled $66.6 billion, a 19.1% increase over the same period in 2020. This is according to the Ministry of Finance mid-year report for 2021. The report credits the growth in collection to increases in the collection of corporation tax, which grew by $5.1 billion, and personal income tax, which grew by $2.9 billion. Withholding tax collection for 2021 grew by $1.3 billion, surpassing the mid-year collections of 2020. Collection for this tax type was projected to grow by $4.6 billion for this year. The value-added tax or VAT collection target for 2021 was set at $53.6 billion, while excise tax was projected to rake in $40.1 billion. The mid-year report noted these tax types grew by 21.5% or $8.9 billion when compared to the same period in 2020. By June 2021, $27.4 billion was collected for VAT as a result of increased collections from imported goods and services. Meanwhile, customs and trade tax collection raked in $12.3 billion, with import duties representing 87.5% of total customs and trade collections when compared to the same period in 2020. Higher import levels were attributed to the growth in this collection. Pay-as-you-earn or PAYE is due on the 14th of every month. Employers are encouraged to ensure all deductions are correctly calculated before remitting PAYE. Employers who fail to deduct and remit PAYE to the GRA will be subjected to a penalty of 10% and interest on the amount owed.
The Guyana Revenue Authority is pleased to introduce to you our Optimal Revenue Management System. You don't have to stand in line, file your tax online. At GRA now it's a fact. You could go online and file your tax. Stay home, don't worry, just relax. Stay safe and file your tax. Save money and time, you don't have to stand in line. Never miss a deadline. At GRA, you can file your tax online. The Optimal Revenue Management System is an improved and user-friendly software that facilitates online services and the management of your tax affairs from your homes or offices. With this powerful and flexible solution, we provide comprehensive and flexible online services, thereby reducing the cost of compliance. Visit the GRA resource page www.gra.gov.gy/optimal to find out more. Sign up and register for an Optimal account at eservices.gra.gov.gy. At GRA, you can file your tax online.
During this rather difficult period, the Guyana Revenue Authority wants to ensure that you complete a transaction as comfortably and speedily as possible. Drop by the Guyana Post Office Corporation anytime during working hours if you have to pay your internal revenue or your value-added taxes, your customs duties, or you can purchase your motor vehicle license. You can even drop in your tax returns there. You'll find us on the second floor of the Guyana Post Office Corporation using the Robb Street entrance.
Recently, the government announced a reduction in the excise tax rate on gasoline and diesel. Fabian Klaus tells us why the excise tax on fuel has been further reduced.
In response to the inescapable rise in world market prices for fuel and the impact felt on the pockets of consumers pulling up at gas stations across the country, the government made swift interventions by further reducing the excise on gasoline and diesel. Following the decision by Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, to further lower the excise tax on gasoline and diesel from 35% to 20% with effect from October 7, the Guyana Revenue Authority immediately configured the automated system for customs data, Asikuda World, to reflect the lower rate. Here is Controller of Customs, Mr. Rohan Biku.
Why is this, or why does the Honorable Minister drop these rates? It's because it affects the price at the pump that consumers pay for fuel. So as the world market price go up, the excise tax, because of the rate, because of the ad valorem rate applied, the excise tax also go up. So the main oil companies, and some of the smaller ones as well, would be paying more taxes. And obviously paying more taxes, you turn up one morning at the pump and you see the price gone $1,000 or how much. So these measures are intended, like some other measures, to be passed on to the consumer so that they can see that reduction to what they're actually paying.
This would be the second such intervention by the government for 2021 in response to the escalating fuel prices. The first was in February, when the excise tax rate on both gasoline and diesel was lowered from 50% to 35%. Since then, oil prices on the world market continued to skyrocket, climbing steadily from over US $60 per barrel to over US $80.
The excise tax on fuel generally, gasoline, diesel, and so on, the excise tax on fuel, it went at 50% for quite a bit. Notwithstanding, there were increases in the world market prices in fuel. That went up, and I think sometime around February or March this year, the Honorable Minister of Finance had cause to, because of that increase, to drop the excise rate from 50% to 35% excise tax.
Fuel attracts excise tax, which is charged and levied at a fixed percentage of the value of the product. The tax is paid before the goods is cleared for use within Guyana.
Fuel used to come mostly from CARICOM countries, which means the duties would not have been paid based on the CARICOM agreement. That has been extended since there is now shortages in supply from CARICOM. Exemptions were granted by COTED to suspend the CT, the Common and External Tariff Rate, on duty for fuel from extra-regional sources. So that leaves now for taxes just excise tax.
The reduction in excise tax is intended to benefit not only motorists, but also stakeholders in the productive sectors, such as manufacturing and mining, who depend on it to sustain their operations.
A person registered for VAT is required by law to submit a VAT return within 15 official working days after the end of a tax period. For VAT purposes, a tax period is 1 calendar month. Radiant Frank explains what the interest and penalties are for not filing your VAT returns on time.
The VAT due date is right around the corner. On Thursday, October 21, VAT registrants are required to submit their VAT returns for September 2021. The return is a declaration of the amount of VAT collected during the tax period. Returns may be submitted via Optimal e-Services or manually. Before submitting your return electronically, you must have an e-Services account. To submit a return, simply log into your account at eservices.gra.gy and via the Submit Return option, fill in the return details, upload the relevant documents, and then submit. The system will provide you with a status of the submission. As your return is processed, you will receive notifications via email until the assessment process is complete. If you choose to submit manually, this must be done at the Central Registration Unit on the ground floor of the GRA's headquarters on Camp Street, or at any integrated regional tax office in Anna Regina, Parika, New Amsterdam, Curverton, Bartica, Letham, and Linden. A fillable return is available on our website at gra.gov.gy/optimal/forms and guides. The return must be completed accurately and must state the information necessary to calculate the tax payable. Failure to submit a VAT return within the time required will result in a civil penalty of $1,000 per day or 10% of the taxes to be paid, whichever is greater. A criminal penalty of a $15,000 fine will be levied against a person who knowingly or recklessly fails to submit a return. If the Commissioner General allows more time and the taxpayer still fails to submit, they will be fined $2,000 per day and imprisonment for 3 months.
A reminder for all VAT registrants, your VAT returns for the month of September are due October 22, 2021. Never miss a due date. Sign up for Optimal's e-service and file all your tax returns electronically.
As a remigrant, you can import more than one vehicles and pay no import duties, no VAT, and reduce excise tax. However, the total exemption cannot exceed $5 million. If it does, you will have to pay the additional duties and taxes. Did I mention that returning students are also entitled to the same benefit 6 months after settling in the country? For additional information and assistance, contact us 227-6060, extension 1201 to 1204. When it comes to healthcare, we all want the best. The best hospitals, the best doctors, and the best treatment. But sometimes the best comes at a heavy cost. Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about VAT on medical, dental, hospital, optical, or paramedical services. There's also no VAT on orthopedic appliances like hearing aids or others that are implanted on the body to compensate for a defect or disability. Sounds like good news to help you feel better for the best.
Assistant Commissioner with Oversight for VAT Audit and Enforcement, Lavina Waldron, joins us to share some important pointers a VAT registrant should note when filing an amended tax return. A VAT return is due within 15 official working days after the end of the previous month. All VAT-registered persons are required by law to submit a return and make the necessary payments by this date. If a VAT-registered person makes an error on the return that was submitted, that person would need to make an amendment to that return.
The law provides for amendments to be made in Section 33, provide for a taxpayer to amend their VAT return.
Assistant Commissioner Lavina Waldron notes it is very important that a registrant indicate the reason for filing an amended VAT return.
A notification of amendment, what you would like to amend, which could be either in a return or in a body of a document, and the reason. We find that a lot of persons are just sending in revise returns, ticking the box or stating using the words amended without providing the actual reason. And just want to point that out, that is in breach of the legislation.
Section 33(6) of the VAT Act makes provision for the addition or alteration of returns, while Section 33(7) of the Act makes provision for the submission of written application specifying in detail the grounds on which the submission is made.
So it's optional to do it in terms of filing back an actual return and ticking the box amended, so we know, or stated amended. Either tick the box, the new returns now, you have the opportunity to tick the box, while previously there was no box. We would have, revised the format, but at least persons would just state amended. So important to note though, it's not just the return is required, because actually the return is not even required. What is required is for you to state your reasons for amendment.
Ms. Walron is encouraging all registered persons to adhere to the law when filing an amended VAT return.
On a go-forward basis, we're going to start rejecting applications that come in that do not have the reason stated, right? So the law requires you to write us or notify us, right? And state your reasons for the amendment, so that we can basically go through and make a consideration, because the law provides for that consideration.
Ms. Walron cautions that amended returns are subject to examination before they are accepted.
Some amendments can actually lead into an examination being, or require an examination done. Depends on what is requested and the reason provided before the amendment is accepted, or in some cases it could be rejected based on the examinations.
VAT returns and amended returns with written notification of amendment can be submitted electronically through the Optimal eServices platform. Returns can also be submitted manually at any of the GRA offices across the country. In keeping with COVID-19 safety protocols, drop boxes have been set up at all GRA offices to facilitate easy submission of all tax returns.
So just want to encourage us to be as compliant as you could. Feel free to keep calling into our hotlines for information and any guidance, whether it's with your returns, your invoices, any information.
Finally, tax specialist Susan Watson answers the question, how to cancel your VAT registration, in this week's question and answer segment.
So for those VAT registrants who are desirous of cancelling registration, we have the answers that you need here in this edition of your Question in Focus. And by we, I'm referring to Ms. Susan Watson. She is a tax specialist from the GRA's Tax Advisory Services section. Susan, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Fabian.
So tell me, if a VAT registrant ceases to carry on business, what the law refers to as a taxable activity, and he or she would like to cancel their registration, what should they do?
Okay, if a VAT registrant ceases to carry out a taxable activity, then they should notify the Commissioner General in writing within 15 days of the date the closure of that activity.
Okay, so the requirements are simply to write to the Commissioner General. Is that the only requirement for cancellation of registration?
Okay, he needs to present a notification in writing to the Commissioner General, as I stated before, right? The date upon which he ceased the operation of carrying on a taxable activity, and whether or not he intends to carry out any other taxable activity within that 12 months period from the date he ceased to do so.
Okay, so when can an individual apply for cancellation of VAT registration?
A person can apply for a cancellation only after the expiration of 2 years from the date the registration took effect.
Great, thanks for clarifying. So lastly, is a VAT registrant required to submit VAT returns pending the cancellation of this registration?
The VAT registrant is required to submit his or her VAT return until he notified the Commissioner General in writing of the date of which the cancellation takes effect.
Great. Thank you very much. Susan Watson there telling you about cancellation of registration for value-added tax. But if you have other questions, feel free to contact us at the numbers listed at the end of our program.
And that's all for this week's Focus on GRA. You can visit our website for more information, gra.gov.gy, or send us an email at grapublicrelations@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn for up-to-date tax-related information. Thank you for watching. I'm Tiffany Rodias. Stay safe, everyone.